The Taliban just shocked the world with what they're building. But here's what almost nobody is talking about. It's not just construction, it's control. Control of water, energy, and even trillions in hidden minerals. The same resources China is already eyeing. One of these projects is so massive, it's the largest of its kind in all of Asia. And if you think that's big, wait until you hear how China is quietly expanding a $60 billion mega corridor straight into Afghanistan. Stay for that. Let's start with what's happening 400 kilometers north, the largest man-made canal in the desert, the Koshipa Canal Project. This isn't just any construction project, it's a 115-millimeter water canal that's wider than California's famous aqueduct. Here's why this is huge. The canal will divert 20% of water from the Amu Darya River across northern Afghanistan's desert plains. When completed, it could irrigate 550,000 hectares of farmland. That's bigger than the entire state of Delaware. This would increase Afghanistan's farmable land by 1/3 and potentially make the country completely self-sufficient in food. Right now, 6,000 workers operate massive excavators around the clock, carving this enormous ditch through some of the world's most challenging terrain. The total estimated investment cost of the Koshipa Canal project is $684 million. The Taliban has invested another $100 million into this project, showing they're serious about transforming Afghanistan's economy. But here's the controversial part. Neighboring countries like Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan are getting nervous. They depend on that same river water for their cotton fields. And Afghanistan is basically saying, we're taking our share whether you like it or not. The Taliban isn't just building within Afghanistan, they're constructing projects that give them leverage over neighboring countries, and water is their most powerful weapon. Beyond the Koshipa Canal, they're building multiple dams across the country. They recently announced fresh construction on the Bakhshabad Dam, even while having diplomatic disputes with Iran over water rights. The message is clear. Afghanistan controls the water sources, and they'll build whatever they want. These dam projects serve multiple purposes. They generate hydroelectric power, making Afghanistan less dependent on energy imports. They provide irrigation for agriculture, supporting the Taliban's goal of food self-sufficiency. And they give Afghanistan negotiating power with downstream countries that depend on these same water sources. The Taliban has also been surprisingly effective at cleaning up corruption in these projects. Unlike the previous US-backed government that was notorious for siphoning off billions in aid money, the Taliban appears to be actually completing projects and using resources efficiently. According to multiple reports, they've dramatically reduced the corruption that plagued infrastructure projects for decades. To make their country better in every way, the Taliban aren't just focusing on electricity, canals, dams, natural gas, and waterways. They're also reconstructing their old capital to improve their lifestyle, creating what's now called KBBLE New City. This isn't just another construction project, it's a complete reimagining of Afghanistan's future. A massive urban development covering 722 kilometers, almost 1.5 times the size of present-day Kabul. The Taliban plans to build 250,000 residential units that could house between 1.1 and 3 million people, creating a modern hub to ease Kabul's overcrowding crisis. Phase 1 alone is divided into 206 sections. The Golden City section will offer 42,000 housing units for 23,000 people across 372 hectares. Construction restarted on Parcel B in August 2023, building 6,600 housing units for 40,000 residents. In late 2024, work began on Parcel 2.6 with a whopping $700 million investment to provide 52,000 units for 33,000 residents. But it's not just housing. The Taliban envisions universities, clinics, shopping centers, and green spaces, all supported by reliable infrastructure, including schools, hospitals, utilities, and parks. The project will unfold over 30 years in 2 main phases, featuring commercial, agricultural, and recreational areas. If completed, this would be one of the largest planned cities in Asia, transforming Afghanistan's urban landscape forever. The Taliban understands geography better than most people realize. Afghanistan sits right in the middle of some of the world's most important trade routes, and they're building infrastructure to take advantage of this position. First, there's the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPAC expansion. In May 2025, China, Pakistan, and the Taliban signed a trilateral agreement to extend this $60 billion corridor into Afghanistan. This creates a direct link from China's Xinjiang province through Pakistan to Afghanistan, giving China access to Central Asian markets and Afghanistan's mineral wealth. But here's where it gets really interesting: the Trans-Afghan Railway Project. This $4.8 billion, 573-kilometer railway will connect Uzbekistan to Pakistan through Afghanistan, cutting transit time from 35 days to just 4 days. Construction starts in 2025. And it will require building over 300 bridges and 5 major tunnels through some of the world's most challenging terrain. Meanwhile, the CF Herat Railway, connecting Afghanistan to Iran, became operational in 2023 with the first cargo shipment of 655 tons of railway equipment successfully completed. This gives Afghanistan access to Iranian ports and global shipping networks. The Taliban is essentially saying, you might not recognize our government, but you can't ignore our geography. Well, geographically, no one can beat the Taliban. And maybe that's why they started the TAPI pipeline project around 20 years ago. But unfortunately, it got stuck in the planning phase. TP stands for Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, and it's designed to transport 33 billion cubic meters of natural gas annually across these 4 countries. Here's the shocking part. In September 2024, the Taliban did something nobody expected. They restarted construction on Afghanistan's portion of this $10 billion pipeline project. Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid announced that work had officially begun on Afghan soil after ceremonies with Turkmenistan officials. This pipeline will run 1,821 kilometers, passing right through some of Afghanistan's most volatile regions. If completed, it could generate close to $1 billion in annual revenue for Afghanistan, while creating thousands of jobs. The Taliban sees this as their ticket to energy independence and regional influence. But here's what makes this really interesting. The original TAPI project was actually negotiated with the Taliban back in 1998, before 9/11 changed everything. Now they're back in power, and they're picking up exactly where they left off 25 years ago. But that's not the only CROSSPER project they're involved in. Here's another big project known as CASA 1000, which is designed to send electricity across borders and light up millions of homes. This $1.2 billion electricity transmission project is designed to bring clean hydroelectric power from Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan down through Afghanistan and into Pakistan. Think of it like this. Central Asia has massive mountain lands with lots of water, which means lots of hydroelectric power. But the countries with the most electricity don't have the biggest populations. Meanwhile, Pakistan and Afghanistan desperately need more power for their growing cities and industries. The CASA 1000 project would transmit 300 megawatts of electricity, enough to power about 1 million homes. Afghanistan would get 300 megawatts for its own use, while 1,000 megawatts would continue south to Pakistan. Here's the twist. The World Bank actually approved resuming this project in 2024, even though they don't officially recognize the Taliban government. They created a special ring-fenced arrangement where all payments stay outside Taliban control, but the construction continues. This means the Taliban gets the economic benefits of hosting this massive infrastructure project without actually controlling the money flow. Afghanistan's location has always been its biggest advantage, but now things have taken a new turn. With the Taliban back in power, they're not just using their position on the map. They're also sitting on a hidden fortune. Trillions of dollars worth of untapped minerals lie beneath their feet. And, for the first time, they're trying to turn that buried treasure into real power. We're talking about lithium for electric car batteries, copper for electronics, rare earth elements for smartphones, and much more. The Taliban knows this, and they're moving fast to start extraction. The most famous example is the Into Copper mine. China has held mining rights here for 15 years, and in July 2024, they finally cut the ribbon to begin operations for about the 10th time. But this time feels different because the Taliban is providing the security and stability that previous governments couldn't guarantee. The Taliban has also been aggressively taxing mining operations throughout the country. According to World Bank reports, they collected $1.54 billion in revenue in 2022, with much of it coming from taxes on mining and reconstruction industries. Here's what's really interesting. The Taliban is using mining revenues to fund all these other infrastructure projects. They're creating a cycle where mineral wealth pays for roads and tunnels, which makes it easier to extract more minerals, which generates more revenue for more projects. In the same way, using some of these revenues, the Taliban also reconstructed a tunnel that kills 40 people every year, the Salong Tunnel. It's not just a death trap, it's also a lifeline for Afghanistan. This tunnel sits high in the mountains, 11,000 feet above sea level, and it connects the north and south of the country. Built by the Soviets in 1964, the Sang Tunnel is 2.7 kilometers long and has become known as one of the most dangerous roads in the world. Unpaved roads filled with choking dust and smoke, poisonous carbon monoxide from broken ventilation systems, and constant threat of avalanches. The tunnel was designed for 2,000 vehicles daily, but now handles up to 9,000 during peak times. In 1982, the deadliest road accident in history happened here when collisions caused fires and explosions, killing up to 2,700 people. But here's what shocked everyone. In December 2023, Taliban officials announced they had completely reconstructed the tunnel. They spent $100 million of their own money, about a quarter of Afghanistan's entire annual tax revenue. Moves like this show how serious they are about building mega projects. And if these developments succeed, they could transform Afghanistan's economy and regional influence. Whether they succeed or fail will reshape not just Afghanistan, but the future of the entire region.